Shalom. I am Rabbi Nathan Davidovich speaking to you on behalf of the wayeshiva.org, speaking to you from Efrat, Israel. I'm going to talk about this week's Torah reading, which is Parsha V'Etchanan. And I'm going to talk about the essence of the Taryag mitzvos, the 613 commandments that are given as represented by the second giving of the Aseret HaDibrot, commonly referred to as the 10 Commandments, but it's a misinterpretation. It's the 10 sayings which encompass the whole Torah. We're going to talk about the essence of these 613 commandments being condensed to one command. And in this week's Parsha, we have the seminal event of God forgiving the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf, and then having Moses come down again with the second luchot, the second tablets of the law. And in this parsha, it says that those who worshipped idols have perished. But then the Torah says, "V'atem hadvekim b'Hashem Elokeichem Chayim kulchem hayom." You who have cleaved to God are alive today. From this we learn that devikus, or closeness to God, is the key to living as a Jew. How do we achieve that? First of all, getting close to God, having a sense of devikus, means loving God. The Talmud gives several insights as to how this is accomplished. The Davidovich Shalom, for example, brings the story of Hillel HaZaken, the Hillel the elder, who was asked by a non-Jew who wanted to convert. He says to Hillel, "I will convert if you can teach me the entire Torah while I stand on one foot." So the Hillel HaZaken was a very patient man, and he was nonplussed by that statement and proceeded to give him an answer. And he said to him, "Here's your answer while you're standing on one foot. Kol desani alaych lo tavi lachavorecha." All that is hateful to you, don't do to your neighbor. The Maggid of Mezrich asks a question. He says, he's being asked, this person is asking to teach the entire Torah, but we also have a contradiction, seeming contradiction, because Rabbi Akiva says that what is the essence of the Torah? He says, "V'ahavtu l'reacha kamocha zeh klal gadol b'Torah." The commandment, love your neighbor as yourself, that is a general principle of the Torah. Is that a contradiction? There seems to be more than that. So no, what Rabbi Akiva is saying is that this concept of loving your neighbor as yourself encompasses everything, including what Hillel said, don't do that which is hateful to your brother. Habakkuk the prophet distilled these 613 commandments that are encompassed in the luchos of the covenant, the tablets that were brought down by Moses. He distilled them to one commandment, and he says, "Tzadik be'emunah yichya." A righteous person lives by his emunah. He says that's the basis. That's the basis of Torah. To live by your emunah, by belief in God. How do you have emunah? How do you have belief in God? By loving God. The Baal Shem Tov asks a very important question. God is inanimate. We can't see him. We can see his works. We can know of his existence, we can feel it, but we can't see him. And Baal Shem Tov says, how can you love something that you can't physically see? And he answers that you can learn to love God by loving your fellow man. There is a beautiful Hasidic story told about Rabbi David Biederman, David of Lelov. There's a Hasidic dynasty that started in Lelov in about 1815. It started about a year after Rabbi David died. Rabbi David was a student of the Choz of Lublin, the seer of Lublin, of the Maggid of Mezrich, and of Rabbi Elimelech of Zhensk. And to demonstrate the importance of love of your fellow man, the following story is told about Rabbi David when he was a little lad of 7 years old. He lived in Poland. Poland, as you know, was very cold in the winter. And his father was a man of meager means and worked hard to save up money to buy his dear son a winter coat. So on a very cold day, his father gave him this new coat that he was able to scrape together enough rubles to buy. And he gave him this coat to wear. And he goes off to Hebrew school to Cheder, wearing his new coat that he loved so much, he's so proud of. After the school day, he comes home. And his mother looks at him and says, "Where's your coat? Where did you leave your coat?" He says, "I didn't leave it anywhere. When I was sitting in school, there was a poor Jewish boy sitting next to me. And he was in tattered clothing. And he was shivering from the cold. So I gave him my coat so he would be warm." His mother says, "You can't do that. Go back and get that. If you don't get this coat back, your father's going to be so angry at you. I mean, he worked so hard to get this coat. You don't want your father to be angry, do you?" So here this 7-year-old boy replies to his mother, "Mommy dearest, I would love to not have my father angry, but it's more important to me to have a little Jewish boy be warm and be protected from the cold than for me to worry about my father being angry." That's what the devikus is about. That's what love is about. The ethics of the fathers tell us. They ask the question, "Ezeu osher," who is wealthy? And they answer, "Hasomeach bechelko," he who is satisfied with his lot in life. The word bechelko can also be translated as he who is satisfied with somebody else's lot. He who is satisfied with what his neighbor has. The true richness in the world is being satisfied and being happy with what your neighbor has, much more so than what you have. Be thankful for what you have, but be happy with what your neighbor has. All of this is based upon love. The concept of love will guarantee that if you are dovek b'Hashem, you love Hashem by loving your fellow man, you will be alive, both in this world and in the world to come. In this time, in our world, when we have so much hatred, where people are hated for what they say, people are hated without people really realizing and trying to dig into why they're saying it, or without the recognition that everybody has a right to say what they're saying, that's an absence of love. That's the source of all of our problems, not only as Jews, but in the world. So my message to all of us is to learn to love Hashem, be devikus with Hashem, be close to Hashem by loving your fellow human being. Thank you for listening on behalf of the WebYeshiva.org. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom.